Melina, we're here today at a field day in Richmond, on the outskirts of Sydney, and you're presenting to growers some of the latest fall armyworm research. For those who might not be aware, could you tell us a little bit about fall armyworm and its entry into Australia?
So fall armyworm arrived in Australia in 2020, was first detected in far north Queensland, and then very quickly and that was about January, and by September it had made an appearance across most of eastern Australia. So it's a moth which produces a caterpillar. For the first time, I guess, in terms of both broadacre and horticultural crops, particularly sweetcorn, we've got a pest that is a severe defoliator in the vegetative stage, not something that we've ever had to deal with before. And I guess it's now in every major growing area. We've had 2020 was quite a severe infestation in the north. And then we've had 2 years that have been relatively quiet, and this year, sort of particularly from the beginning of 2024, we've seen pressure, numbers, densities, damage that we haven't seen in previous years. So it's been quite a wake up this year.
And when it comes to managing fall armyworm, does best practice look the same across Australia, or does it vary by region and by crop?
Oh, it varies very much by crop. I guess the sort of quality requirements and the response of sweetcorn to fall armyworm is much more severe than, say, in maize and sorghum. So I think we can immediately separate out those two industries in terms of the way they are managed. I think from a broadacre point of view, we've really managed fall armyworm very well in the past 2 years with minimum chemical intervention, and a move to early planting, so planting in spring rather than planting in summer, has meant that the majority of crops have avoided higher fall armyworm pressure. This year the pressure has been so high, and we've also had a lot of late cropping, that a lot of crops have fallen into that and met really high fall armyworm pressure. And there's been a lot more spraying as a consequence. In horticulture and sweetcorn, the strategy really is to spray that pest to minimise the impact on the crop, and that's I guess unfortunately the management practice at the moment.
And could you give us an overview of the project you're working on and what that's trying to achieve?
Yeah, so this fall armyworm area-wide management project brings together the industries, because with a recognition that fall armyworm doesn't recognise industry boundaries. We've done this before with Helicoverpa, with cotton and grains, which was done very successfully in the sort of early 2000s. And we're sort of hopeful that we'll get a similar kind of outcome for the industries with fall armyworm. And it really does, focus on learning, on an appreciation of the biology, the ecology, the interaction with natural enemies, the sort of common threads across the landscape, regardless of whether you're growing sweetcorn or maize, whether you're feeding it to people or whether you're feeding it to animals. So, real emphasis on bringing people together to develop that common understanding, and I guess bringing the R&D in along with that as well.
And is a big part of the project engagement activities like we're doing here today at this field day?
Absolutely, that really is the core business. At the moment there's not a lot of R&D sort of operating alongside, so we're sort of drawing on what we know about other pests and how that might relate. So that the emphasis is on bringing people together to communicate, the little research that is going on currently, but also to share the experiences and to sort of understand what it is that people are doing that they think is working, why it might be working. Really, I guess the focus is on developing an understanding rather than just communicating, technical information per se.
And so what's next for fall armyworm research?
Well, I think, I guess given a season like this, there's a real emphasis on understanding how much damage is too much damage. That's the sort of approach that we're taking in grain sorghum and maize for grain. So developing thresholds that will help growers to make a rational economic decision around whether they can afford to spray, whether it's actually going to deliver them a return on that expenditure. For sweetcorn, there really is a need to, I guess in my opinion, there are some fundamental changes that need to be made. The crop is highly responsive to fall armyworm, so you can't allow too much damage. It doesn't leave very much wiggle room in terms of, minimising insecticide use. So there are some real challenges around how do we change the system to reduce the very high reliance on insecticides that we currently have and take advantage of the natural enemies and the other biological control that we know is there but currently can't get a foothold given the high intensity insecticide use.